So there was a recent controversy where a Christian blog decided to host an article about the end of feminism. And it used this statue of Medusa being decapitated by Perseus in its thumbnail. And resolutely, after criticisms, it refused to take Medusa's decapitated head out of the thumbnail. And I mention this because I think this is how Greta Gerwig is probably feeling right about now. If you don't know, the Oscars nominations got released, and Ken, Ryan Gosling, got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I Am Just Ken got a nomination for Best Original Song. Billie Eilish, also my future wife, got a nomination for her song What Was I Made For? Curiously, though, the Barbie movie, the director, and Barbie herself, Margot Robbie, did not get a nomination. Now, I promise I'm talking about this for a really important reason, and not just because I like the film. It's because of this. This is Kennedy claiming its final victory over feminism. The reason we can do this is because of something I've dubbed as the Ken effect. And that is that a runaway interpretation of a piece of media based upon its premises and pure meme magic will become the dominant interpretation. And it shows that politics these days is less about facts, it's more about feelings, it's more about vibes, it's more about aesthetics. And so any conservative trying to win the culture war just by arguing the left into submission with reason and BTFOing college students on film is not going to get anywhere. And so Barbie and the recent Taylor Swift controversy are why conservatives like Ben Shapiro are going to lose the culture war.
Can you tell me why should I watch it? So there was a craze at some point. I remember both of you were having.
Well, funny you say that. So we can explain to our viewers why you should watch it, because I did a little review with Dan as a segment, and then you did a really detailed breakdown as a premium video. If you aren't subscribed to our website already, for as little as £5 a month, you can get all of our premium content. Barbie is essentially the ultimate feminist dystopian fantasy. So it opens in a world where all the Barbies are egalitarian, they all do their ideal jobs, they wake up and every single day is the same. They get up, they go and meet with the president, and then they go and dance all night, and they have the Kens, who are literally homeless chads who have to stay in great shape all the time, validating their experience. When they go to the real world, they realize that actually men aren't completely powerless. Ken realizes that he's been put down by the Barbies and then comes back and institutes a patriarchy to try and overthrow the matriarchal dystopia, and the Barbies are actually happier. And it's basically a Greek tragedy about how a man tries to break out of his subordinate position and ultimately fails.
The best bit about it is how the Barbies stop there's a weird dysgenic Barbie who stops the other Barbies from being happy in the patriarchy by kidnapping them and brainwashing them.
And then the reason
I'm not even joking.
The reason they stop the Kens from winning is really they convince the Barbies to cheat on the Kens to make them go fight a literal Peloponnesian war. Like,
it is actually quite good.
It's a great film.
But and in the end as well, the ironic thing is that stereotypical Barbie, who's Margot Robbie's character, the main Barbie, she chooses not to stay there anyway. Okay. So the fancy land of feminism is something she chooses to abandon.
She goes and has a child.
Yeah,
which breaks the feminist delusion. So it's
very actually quite good.
It's very well done, and I don't
think they knew what they were making when they made it. That's the thing.
No, and this is why the runaway interpretation of a thing, the vibe, is the more powerful thing, and this is why Ryan Gosling has got the Oscar nomination, because we memed Ken into existence rather than Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig, and it's quite important. I think these sorts of cultural issues are a litmus test for people in the anti-woke conservative traditionalist space who have got good intuitions rather than following trends. Because you know who agrees with us? Elon Musk.
Interesting. And because I'm just thinking about this, the Ben Shapiro response to this was him literally burning a Barbie doll like he was a teenager.
And Piers Morgan crying about it, saying it's anti-male.
Yeah, it's like, no, you idiots. Actually look at what's happening. Don't just react.
You have the most painful surface level take, and that is why conservatives will always be on the back foot and losing the culture war. We're going to contrast one of Ben Shapiro's recent examples against this. So Ryan Gosling responded to the fact that he was nominated in actually the most gracious and considerate and Ken-based of ways.
So before we go on to this, can we go back to that previous one, right?
Yes.
I don't ever see Barbie being used in memes. Right? There's very little mimetic potential of the Barbies themselves.
We're going to see some shortly, but they're not that flattering to Barbie.
I see lots of Ken memes. Lots, even now, months afterwards. So just saying, you can tell where the cultural impact has been, and it's not been from the Barbies themselves.
Well, this is why Newsweek came out with an article saying, as you covered before, men are watching the Barbie movie wrong, because they're not meant to be enjoying Ken. They're meant to be soft and soy boys, and they're not meant to like the vitalism of riding around Barbie land on horses.
Did you pay to watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to the cinema.
Okay.
Best tenner I ever spent.
It's not that good, but it was pretty good, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but I thought I'd announce that we have a new line of merch. This is our aesthetics collection. So I was thinking that in the face of AI art debasing the very concept of art, actually we'd do something quite positive. So we commissioned a series of paintings that were actually really beautiful and could be something that we could present outside of politics. So for example, we have this magnificent painting of a ship weathering a storm, which I thought was just really nice. And we have, of course, a glorious, sort of surrealist, giant white tiger drinking from a lake. But also there are other things that are just kind of interesting, such as the chap lost in cyberspace, or something that I thought might, in time for Christmas, make a great present for your mum or something like that, a beautiful cat lounging on some clouds. Basically, we wanted to do some stuff that wasn't just political, so things that were just nice and beautiful and interesting, because that's also a part of the world we want to curate. So you can go over to shop.lotuses.com. Buying the merch is a really great way of supporting us and means that we can live past demonetization. And I'm sure they make great gifts for the folks as well.
I really did quite enjoy it. Anyway, point being, Ryan Gosling responded to the fact that he got an Oscar nomination, and he said, "I'm extremely honored to be nominated by my colleagues along such remarkable artists, but there is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. See, as a Ken, part of your power and dominance is to be humble and considerate of your long-term, low-commitment girlfriend."
Didn't refuse the nomination, though, did he?
No. What's actually probably going to happen is he's going to win the song and then have to perform it live at the Oscars.
Oh, no.
It's going to be magic. I can't wait for it. So
just the crying soy jack feminists.
Oh, you mean like all of these lot?
Yeah. I just kept posting them.
Yeah, feminist news. Ken getting nominated and not Barbie is honestly so fitting for a film about a man discovering the power of patriarchy in the real world.
Great advert for patriarchy, lads.
Agree. Did you know? So Margot Robbie's actually responded to this as of last night. She was on a film panel and she was actually very gracious. And she said, "I feel completely humbled to be at the eye of the storm of this cultural moment. Greta Gerwig probably should have got a nomination, but well done to Ryan." So.
That's very kind.
Even she's buying into Kennedy. She also actually said, rather interestingly, that if she could be anyone for a day, it'd be J.K. Rowling. Given the final line of the film and the message.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, because one of the things that the Barbie movie does is it ties womanhood explicitly to reproductive power.
Yeah.
And so J.K. Rowling being the world's most famous TERF, interesting. Anyway.
Very interesting.
No, but what you said before, I didn't have the impression that Margot Robbie was woke.
No, she's never really spoken about it.
Yeah, so
fascinating, that, isn't it? Anyway, so just more coping and seething. Let me see if I understand this. The Academy nominated Barbie for Best Picture, 8 nominations in total. A film about women being sidelined and rendered invisible in patriarchal structures.
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
It's actually about the
unfair dominance of the matriarchy and how it creates a subordinate class of literally homeless scum.
Yeah. Also, the Ken Revolution was completely non-violent because they asked him how they took over and he just said, "We just explained the logic of patriarchy to them and they caved."
Yeah, it was irresistible.
So they talked them into it. Okay, well, Margot Robbie's now tearful Barbie.
Oh.
So this is when Barbie gets used in memes. People aren't happy about the fact that they just cannot stop the Ken interpretation. Still,
I just want to say, I thought Margot Robbie actually did a really good job.
She did exceptionally well. But, again, you can't control the messaging.
Yeah.
The vibe is what is always dominant. And so the vibe has borne out.
The
perfect example of someone that couldn't control the messaging and win is a failed president congratulating 2 failed Oscar nominees. Hillary Clinton, this is not a parody account.
No, president nominee.
Oh, well, yes, she didn't get to the presidency, yes. Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office and not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than Knuff. # Hillary Barbie.
That sounds a bit ironic.
Yeah, it is.
Enough, because Ken was the dude, wasn't he?
I like the fact that my tweet is the first one that we're getting presented with here. I mean, I think that's a brilliant tweet.
I did tweet it out under your recommendation with the photo of her. Yeah. Happy birthday, future president. And just consider them as future Oscar winners.
I mean, come on, that's great.
So there are obviously memes made about Hillary Clinton as well. Everyone's talking about Margot Robbie, but I'm trying to get people to go Margot to the polls. Aha, very funny. And then also there was an Oscar statue found dead in an apparent suicide. The Oscars did not kill themselves. It turns out Shu has just compiled a bunch of all the girl bosses coping and seething about this. Point being is that the progressive hegemony has one intention. It creates a cultural product. It tries to push a particular message, but the implicit way that the story plays out, it vindicates Ken as the hero, and Ken becomes a runaway meme. And then through sheer acting prowess and the fact that people really enjoyed the film, Ryan Gosling gets the Oscars nomination, and everyone's very happy about it. And these people just can't keep a lid on that political message. So Barbie, weirdly enough, becomes the runaway conservative bit of culture from probably the last 10 years.
Yeah, and Shu's right there. Affluent, liberal, white women. Because they're all the women who feel themselves represented in Barbie and who are the ones complaining. Like, you're not seeing anyone outside of that particular demographic being bothered about this.
Because they thought this was going to be their...
Netflix may have an idea.
Well, yeah.
They thought this was going to be their Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was for the boys, which is quite good. Another just coping and seething article as well. Shocking. Oscar snubs for Barbie's Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie proves the movie's point. If only Barbie had done a little more time as a sex worker, or barely survived becoming the next victim in a mass murder plot, or stood accused of shoving Ken out of the dream house's top window, certainly millions of Barbie fans are currently wishing they could push someone, perhaps a member or two of the Film Academy, out of a very high window. Now,
yeah, no, sex worker Barbie, I'm for it. Let's see that film. Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, you know how the Kens are literally homeless servant class. I was reliably informed by the Academy after the cancellation of Gone with the Wind that any film which depicts slavery in a positive light should not be given an Oscar. So actually, technically, Greta Gerwig should have rightfully been snubbed, according to the logic.
The Kens aren't slaves. It's worse than that. Slaves at least have a purpose. The Kens don't have a purpose. They're just a nuisance that they wish they could get rid of.
Well, they're validation on tap.
They don't need it. The Barbies validate each other.
True, it is the affirmative female dystopia. Now, I raise this as well because Kennedy just cannot stop winning because the LA Times have laid off most of their staff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about 100 journalists, 20% of the newsroom have been sacked, including the author of this piece's editor. Immediately after she wrote it.
That's good.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, there's been a bit of a bloodbath in progressive media recently.
It's because nobody's bloody reading it.
Yeah. Sign up to lotus.com and support us if you want the scales to continue tipping.
But it's because they're failing the vibe check. They're trying to push a message. The message isn't vibing with people. And therefore, organically, we're winning and we're claiming their cultural artifacts as our own and we're enjoying doing it. So the reason I'm talking about this is because, as we already mentioned with Ben Shapiro burning the Barbie car, what kind of culture is Conservative Inc. pushing instead? What are they creating? How are they winning the culture war? Oh, this liquid cringe. Ben Shapiro has done a rap video with Tom McDonald, where, strangely, he raps slower than he speaks. I know I'm one to talk. And it's called Facts. I'm not going to play any, because I think it will be copyright struck. And
we've probably all heard it already.
Yeah, I don't want to torture you any further. So I just want to maybe pause on this. Is this what winning looks like? Like, if burning the Barbie car, and as we'll see later, insulting Taylor Swift as some kind of psyop, is where we're going to go. And then we're going to produce rap videos with a guy with face tattoos and braids just because he's MAGA. If that's what winning looks like, I don't want to see losing, frankly.
Well, I mean, he is the number one rapper in the world.
Yeah, I know he's boasting about that.
Yeah.
But, okay, one, that's on the iTunes charts, whereas that's not streaming, so that's not organic listens. So it's people buying it to support it, but this is going to be a flash in the pan, right?
Yeah.
No DNet in her Fiat 500 is going to be singing Facts on the way to her call center, but
Probably
she is going to be singing soundtracks from the Barbie film or Taylor Swift songs. So it's frustrating that conservative media is trying to overtly push a message. It has no vibes about it, and it has no staying power because it's made in constant retaliation to the leftist hegemony. So all of your culture is just owning the libs, and so it's not sincere.
So is the issue here the appearance?
Yes, the outward appearance and the fact that it has no cultural staying power and it has no integrity to stand upon its own.
Okay,
the lack of substance.
That genuine conservatives wouldn't be that way.
But it's not even that. Just normal people aren't that way.
Okay,
because I mean, like the "I'm Just Ken" song, I can see why that would resonate with young men. Actually,
okay,
right? Because they probably do feel actually the world is kind of stacked against me, and I'm doing my best, but for some reason I'm being passed over for this white woman who isn't as talented as I am.
Yeah.
Because she's a white woman. Why is the world loaded like this? So I can see why that would have genuine cut through.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, it's just saying, well, look, I've got 6 million followers on social media, so I can get this to number one of the chart. Okay, but what did that accomplish?
The substance is just get owned, libs. It's just a rehash of a 2016 college campus debate.
Yeah, you're not affecting the culture.
Well, you are actually affecting the culture on the right.
Okay. I mean, the wider culture.
Yeah, because we're celebrating criminality now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so Little Pump, who's
got
got more face tattoos, he's another rapper who Trump invited on stage because he endorsed him, has now got a Donald Trump's mugshot tattoo on his thigh. So Edmund Smirk, fantastic Anon account, also has passed all the vibe checks on these issues. And he's saying the problem is not necessarily being anti-Taylor Swift or anti-Barbie, because Taylor Swift is far from conservative in her temperament, and so is the intention of Barbie. The problem is that this is much, much further. In 2024, right-wing culture is now criminal and downwardly mobile. That's not even an exaggeration. Worst of all, we're expected to celebrate it. So, not being funny, Daily Wire guys, and we can all have a laugh and a joke at some of the stuff Kanye's done, wasn't, in hindsight, the best horse to back. Kanye being an explicit enemy of Taylor Swift as well. So if they're turning around and saying, oh, Taylor Swift's a psyop, the Barbie movie is cringe and anti-male, but the dominant interpretation isn't that, and people actually like the vibe and the aesthetics of those things, and then you're driven to put literal criminal gangster rappers in your own camp. Is this not a point of self-reflection?
But also, it shows that the conservatives are always one day late and one step behind on any cultural trend. Like the left has been embracing this for years, and then suddenly, we've got someone on from there that likes us. It's like, okay, you're just behind the curve on absolutely everything. Why aren't you outside pushing the envelope?
But I think you're viewing it from a linear perspective, and who is ahead. The question is who is ahead in given particular circumstances at a time and a place. And the reason why I say this is because you could say that traditionally we're talking about anti-systemic behavior. And some counterculture is, in a way, anti-systemic. So the left used to be anti-systemic in the past, but now that they have captured most institutions, it's the right wing that is anti-systemic, and it becomes progressively more countercultural. So I don't see any kind of decline in this. If there is any kind of decline that I see, there is a kind of, let's say, anti-systemic behavior for the sake of anti-systemic behavior. It's the glorification of being against the system,
but
whatever the system is, because being a conservative doesn't mean you're against a system. You want a system. You want an orderly society.
We don't want the present system. The problem is the present system's values that it is pushing outwards are gross and perverse and entropic.
Yep.
And so is gangster rap. So we don't need to fold that aesthetic in just because some random people might enjoy Donald Trump's jokes once in a while. Actually, we should be adopting wholesome and encouraging aesthetics, which, weirdly enough, the Barbie film and people like Taylor Swift have, even if their message is attempting to be progressive.
And the point is the substance of the thing. I mean, like, how is this what conservatives want the world to look like? So once again, the conservatives have adopted a left-wing frame and embraced it as their own.
And why is it a left-wing frame?
Well, okay.
Because it celebrates a criminal.
Yeah, and also, is this a conservative aesthetic? The face tattoos?
No.
Yeah, so why are we celebrating, oh, good, Little Pump's our guy because he's got a Donald Trump tattoo. Oh, good.
Because it's election year.
Exactly.
That's the point. It's purely a partisan political thing, but that changes the nature of the side that we supported or hypothetically support. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And that's, I don't feel represented by this chap.
Yeah, it's just about expedient power seeking rather than long-term wholesome planning and values. And that's why we're losing the culture war, even if they win the next election.
Yeah.
And so I did want to go on to the other one about this because it's me. Hi, I like Taylor Swift. I was a bit ahead of the curve on this. Now, the Taylor Swift is a psyop conspiracy theory has reached its apotheosis. It's very frustrating. This is end wokeness. We've had Benny Johnson, Laura Loomer, Jack Posobiec put out actually factually inaccurate tweets accusing her of being a Pentagon op.
I have no idea, and I don't care.
Yeah.
All I said was, look, Taylor Swift is not the enemy. I mean, if look at that picture in the bottom, right?
Yes.
You've got a blonde-haired American woman giving this big Chad guy a big hug and kiss and stuff like that. If that to you is the enemy and the other guy, the gangster rapper, is not, then the problem is the left has already beaten you.
Yes. The optics are important because for those who don't know, and this is actually in reference to the Kanye Swift battle, when he got up on stage and said that you shouldn't have won the award for the music video was for You Belong With Me. And the entire point of the music video is that it's a Beauty and the Beast scenario in the reverse. She's the nerdy girl. He's the football team captain. She ends up falling in love with him despite his cheerleader girlfriend. She's now living that dream. And the Conservatives are going to this all-American girl who's literally the captain of the football team. You're a Democrat psyop. Come over with our face tattooed rap.
Excuse me. Sorry. I'm in the mood for being devilish today.
Go ahead.
So what you are saying about Taylor Swift, it seems to me that when people have a go at Taylor Swift and say it's a psyop, they focus on the wokeness. They don't focus on something else. So
does she do anything that's woke?
Yes, she does.
She does.
I don't know.
So she endorsed Marsha Blackburn in 2018 based on the abortion stuff because she said that she's Trump in a wig. She then said she promoted BLM rioters, saying that, when the looting starts, the shooting starts, she said, we're going to vote you out of office. And now what they're afraid of, and I've summarized this because she voted Biden-Harris and baked cookies for them. I've summarized this in this segment from November, but they're worried that basically ahead of 2024, she's doing another tour. She ends her tour in Florida right before the election goes ahead. They're worried that she is being co-opted by the Democrat establishment to raise a political consciousness among young white liberal women, increase voter registration to give a swift lift in the polls, and then prop up the Democrats who are ailing. The EU have even said the same thing, right? So it's not impossible, but
isn't that the sad state of affairs of them?
Yes.
Doesn't that show the EU is begging Taylor Swift to save them? The Democrats are begging Taylor Swift to save them. And Taylor Swift is there with her all-Americana, hunky boyfriend going, one day we're going to have kids. It's like this shows the weakness of the left.
This is exactly it. Like, look, just on optics alone, this is what non-politically plugged in dinos are going to see. There's more normies than you who are terminally online. I say this is someone who's terminally online. Look at the old Taylor Swift, right? And then
She looks happy there.
The current one.
Yeah.
Her music has changed. Her vibe has changed. And so people are going to take from this, Taylor Swift is no longer the arch millennial cat mum who's singing about breakups. Marriage is cool again. Dating's cool again. Yeah. What makes women more conservative? Because currently,
kids, and that's the thing.
Not saying woke stuff.
Yeah, no. Screw woke stuff. This is all.
You can't screw woke stuff.
No. You're more focused because you're very intelligent. You're more focused that people follow ideas. They follow incentives and vibes.
Yeah,
this is the vibe.
The woke stuff is a veneer, right? And it can trap them in a kind of parallel universe where they become like the 50-year-old wine aunt who hates the patriarchy until she dies on her own, right? But the genuine substance of what's happening here, I mean, this is the most American picture you could have taken. This is a great representation of America. It makes present America in the essence of it, and this is genuinely classic, like 80s movie Americana, right? Yeah. Taylor Swift is doing it in 2024 and the Republicans are like, she's a Democrat psyop. It's like, no guys, like, don't worry about what they're saying, because she is going to want to have kids with this guy, and that will get loads of young women to be like, I need a big hunky guy of my own to have kids with. I wonder if there are any big hunky guys in the Republican Party, because they're certainly not in the goddamn Democrat Party. This is how the Republicans win. Connor's completely right.
If we don't step on a cultural rake and make ourselves radioactively uncool to the uninitiated girls, she will accidentally be a vibe-based psyop for pronatalism and therefore swing young women to the right.
Can we go back to the other picture a second?
Yes, we absolutely can.
So, okay, I bet he votes Democrat. Like, he's an obviously left-wing man. He looks weak.
This guy. So right,
like, look at the whole thing.
Travis is left-wing. Travis is left-wing.
I'm sure.
But the message matters less than the image.
No. I'm sure he's totally all about.
He did a Pfizer ad.
Yeah. He's a normie.
Yeah,
right? He's just going to be a normie.
Yep.
Right. But the point is, look at her. Look at the way she stands. She's like, okay, I'm holding his arm. He's not paying any attention to her at all. She's clearly not enchanted with his presence and the relationship. Whereas if you go back to the other one, you can see she is, look, people look, she's glowing. Yeah, she's having a great time. She's literally leaning in to being his woman, like this.
He's passing the green line test.
Exactly. He's passing the green line test. She's just got a genuine smile on her face. She's having a great time. Like, this is important, and conservatives do need to pay attention to this stuff.
That's the origins of a woke mother. I don't think
but it matters.
just increasing the population isn't the only thing. You need the population to be conservative.
But most women become conservative when they have children.
Yeah, and most people don't operate on the basis of ideas. They operate on the basis of instincts and incentives. So
necessity.
If the uninitiated normie woman who isn't going towards wokeness consciously, but she does see, oh, Taylor Swift's got married. Honey, do you want to finally get married? Do you want to finally have some kids? They're more likely to have an investment in the future. They're more likely.
What if they're anti-natalist and they say there are so many?
Most people aren't anti-natalist. We see this with the polling. It's just that they are concerned about the future and they don't feel they can have enough. They don't feel they can afford it.
And when women get into their 30s, they really want kids.
Yes,
the biological clock really starts ticking. And she's found this giant Chad guy with a beard. What a surprise! That could be you guys. You know what I mean?
It could be you. Except, and this is why the online right have fallen for this. This is the most revelatory treat in the world because Mary did an article on this, and in response to this. Quote, I don't understand girls, but I know a psyop when I see one, and that's one. This is the problem.
What is the psyop? Why would the Democrats want Taylor Swift to find this big hunky boyfriend? Why would they want that?
Just to increase voter turnout, I guess, which didn't happen in 2018. So it kind of undermines their argument. Also, she doesn't work for the Pentagon and the Soros family, you bloody idiot. She spited the Soros family.
But even if she did, I don't care. Like, the average person doesn't know any of those things. They just see Taylor Swift is getting married, she's going to have kids.
Yeah.
Oh God, I am 35. Like this is, I would love a baby. I've been putting it off all this time. Maybe now's the time to start looking. It's like how to get women off the Democrat plantation is to make them concerned about the future of their children.
Yeah, but boomers don't understand online vibe-based politics. They only understand facts.
It's not even just online vibe-based politics.
I think,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, these women's consciousness has only been raised because they've been galvanized by going into online spaces.
Okay, question. You say most people act on instinct.
Yes.
What if they say, we see a woman going out with someone with a beard, okay? And they have children, and they also see, this lass is preaching to her children woke doctrine.
But most people just don't go along with that.
They would.
No, they'll see it at a superficial level. They'll see the images, right? Yeah. They won't sit there and read a full article on Taylor Swift's beliefs on critical race theory or something like that. They'll just see she's hugging her boyfriend. Cool. Oh, honey, do I... Stelios,
if it's
you live too much in the realm of you're doing this.
If it's
you're doing
just
this, Stelios.
Instinct, they will just say...
Look, I'm sure they will say that. But one of the great things that breaks critical race theory is contact with reality, right? Yeah. Because, one of the things that I've noticed as a father of 2 girls and 2 boys is they're very, very different. And they're very different from literally their earliest moments.
May I give you a compliment?
Yeah.
I would add, as a conservative father, there are progressive parents who are the worst thing for
No. Because my sister is a progressive parent.
Maybe
she has encountered the same thing. Because it is just nature that is taking hold and living itself out through the necessity of raising kids. And so you are forced into positions where you have to be essentially anti-progressive for the safety of your own children. And that's what they will put first. So Connor is right on this.
So I just want to finish on a few conservatives that did actually pass the vibe check. Trump himself is not worried. So his allies are pledging a holy war, but privately he's already said, I'm more popular than her anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He knows the sides are entrenched. Actually, if Taylor Swift were to try and galvanize a democratic debate, a democratic vote, do you think she wants a bunch of pro-Palestine protesters disrupting the vibe at her concerts?
Maybe.
I wouldn't. It would be bad optically.
If I were Trump, I would have just come out and gone, I really like Taylor Swift.
I would have tweeted, I hope her and Travis are very happy.
Yeah, I hope they have lots of kids.
Yeah, good luck to the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. Their kids are going to be beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Like just whatever.
Take the high ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Peachy Keenan's done the same thing. Even though he's a Pfizer shill, he is still a red-blooded American man who showed her the long string of bisexual, skinny British metrosexuals she dated, can never give her the happy ending she wanted. Exactly. She is centering his cis heteronormativity. Yeah. I wonder if the rainbow people will start to get weird about that.
They absolutely will.
Yep. Taylor Swift will basically usher in the next American baby boom with this just vibe. John Doyle also on it. John Doyle's just done a great video on why conservatives can't make culture, and he's right. It's vibe-based. He can see it. Radfem Hitler, who gets every take right.
No, she doesn't.
She's fantastic. Best account on Twitter.
Takes are trash.
She's great. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce getting married will heal America. Yep. Vote. Michael Knowles as well. Michael Knowles is the only person dating Barbie that got Barbie right as well.
Yeah.
Our review. Yeah. Taylor Swift is temperamentally conservative and the right should cautiously stand her. I agree. So this is why the right should stop setting on rakes. Taylor Swift is a psyop for What exactly? If we stop alienating her fans, she could be a psyop for us, be very pro-natalist. And so conservatives need to understand that aesthetics and vibes matter more than messaging and matter more than trying to make friends with people with weird face tattoos who aren't actually pushing our values. So frankly, stop making MAGA rap, stop making cringeworthy movies, double down on the Ken effect, and we should be Smith-maxing.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on Islam with Robert Spencer. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.